And today we are going to be starting a sort of new series on how to mod Empire at War. So we're just going through some of the basics. We're going to start today with how to add a basic space hero, and then in the future we'll talk about things like Galactic Conquest units and maybe get a bit more in-depth on things that require a bit of artwork. But so today all we're going to be doing is adding Admiral Ozzel or Captain Ozzel as a different hero in the Reprisal Star Destroyer. So you'll need a few things for this. You'll need a text editor. I recommend Notepad++, the MTD editor, the DAT editor, an icon which I will provide rather than showing you how to do that quite yet, and you'll need the source files for the game. I'm going to put links for all of this stuff in the description of the video, so before we get going here, you'll want to go to those links and download them and install them where they need to be. I think most of them can just run from the download, so you shouldn't need to install anything really. But the source files, once you download those, you're going to want to install them how you would any other mod. So if you need any help with that, I did make a tutorial on how to install mods for Empire at War before. You can check that video out in the same playlist as this, or you just check it out on the channel. So first, you'll want to go into that mod after you've installed it. So we're in mods, source, data, XML, and Empire at War keeps all of its space heroes in the unique units section here. And since Ozzel is going to be very similar to Piet and the Accuser, you're just going to copy from here where it says the Accuser Star Destroyer is used by Captain Firmus Piet down to unique unit. That starts and ends the unit, and it tells the game sort of what information is tied to it. And everything in Empire at War uses the same template. Like units will all have the same sort of stats, and then you put the variations, the different stats themselves within those templates. So these little things here, where it has the open bracket, exclamation mark, dash dash, and then some text, these are in comments here. This isn't loaded by the game as actual code. It's basically just for people who are looking at the code to know what's going on with it and what it's doing. So if you want to do that with any text, you have your open brackets, or your opening right here, and then you close with just dash dash close bracket. So what we're going to do, we're just going to change that from the Accuser Star Destroyer to Reprisal, used by Captain Firmus Piet, to Kendall Ozzel. Again, this won't matter to anything in game, it's just for reference later. And then we're naming this Reprisal _ star _ destroyer. And next, the line you have here is called variant of an existing type. So this is basically telling it, if I don't have code for a certain line here, use the line from this other pre-existing unit that has everything. So if you were to take out text ID here, it'd load the name from generic Star Destroyer. So the next lines here are Encyclopedia Good Against and Encyclopedia Vulnerable To. These have nothing to do with stats or unit performance in game. What it does is those little red and green cards on the unit card that say what it's good against and what it's vulnerable to. It'll just pop up the icon in there. It tells it which unit to look up in the code and what icon to grab from it. So the next line we have here is the icon. So most icons in the game follow the same sort of convention for units and heroes. You're going to do just I _ button _ Ozzel. That's the name that I provided for, the one that I provided for this. .tga, because they're all going to be True Vision Targa images. And then is named hero. This means that the icon is going to show up in the corner like it's supposed to, and it'll also use the hero respawning logic when it dies. So encyclopedia text, that's the next bit here. Text tooltip Ozzel. And I got rid of that other line and never got it back, so I'm just going to copy that back here and paste it in. Just for cleanliness there, text unit Ozzel. You can put essentially whatever you want in here, stick to all caps for it, and it all has to be one word. So before we continue, I'm just going to go and add the icon and the text here. So for that, you're going to need the text files. So you want to go to your corruption game, data, and copy the text folder here. And go back to corruption, mods, source, data, paste it in with the art, scripts, and XML. Then you want to open with the data. You want to open the data editor. I have it pre-associated, so it'll open on its own there. But once you have the data editor open, you want to open your master text file from your source, from the mod that you're making here. So for us, that'll be source data text, master text file English, edit, insert string, and then you're going to copy the exact same thing you have here. So you can either just copy and paste, or you can type it yourself, whichever you prefer, but in this little text block here, that's where you put what's going to show up in game. So that'll be Kendall Ozzel reprisal. And you do that with both. Encyclopedia text is the sort of longer paragraph of information. Was killed by bear for not catching the falcon. Whatever you want to put in there, that's just what we're going to go with for now. Then you want to save that. That's all you need that for. The next step for the icon, you want to open your MTD editor, then file open. You want to navigate to the mod you're working on, source data, into art, textures, and then this mtcommandbar.mtd file should show up. And now you'll need to open the actual TGA file, because it's sort of like an index, and the MTD file tells it where in the image file the icon you're looking for is located. So just type in mtcommandbar.tga. That'll load it up. So you'll see that it has all these different icons in it, and you just want to insert your own. So edit, insert file, go to wherever you saved the icon that I've put in the description here. So iButton Ozzel. I already went through this once, but there you go. File, save, and then that's it. That's all you need to do. Icon is now in there. I'll go into how to actually create your own icons in a future video when we do a bit more different art, but I just want to focus on the basics of XML editing for this. So there you go. And now space behavior. You won't need to worry about this for now, but if you ever are adding to like a unit that doesn't have a hanger, if you want to add a hanger and it's not spawning the squadrons, that's usually because you don't have this behavior here. This is just sort of telling the game what the unit can do. This is a list of all the hard points. Again, we'll get into that sort of thing in a future tutorial. Tech level 99. So since it's loading the Star Destroyer information here, if you left this as a lower number, you'd be able to build him. We want to leave that at 99, or a number that you just can't get to, so anything like 6 or above should work. Next you have your big blocks for all your sound effects. Again, I'm not going to show how to do that quite yet. It gets a bit more complicated and tedious, and this video is probably already going to be like 20 minutes, so we'll cover that in the future. So the next thing you want to worry about here, AI combat power. This sort of tells the AI how often they're going to want to use that unit. Since Ozzel is going to be fairly similar to Piet, we'll leave it the same. And then the build cost credits, that's how much it costs to build it in Galactic Conquest, but it's not buildable, so you can make that number whatever you want. Population value, how much population capacity is it going to take up? So again, just change that, whatever you want. Preferably something that's within the actual limits of the game, so we'll leave that at 4. Neutralization cost, so how much does it cost to get a bounty hunter to kill him? We're going to bump that up to 2200, just for fun. And can it be neutralized by a major hero? Yes or no. So that's like Boba Fett, or I think IG-88 can do it as well. Can it be neutralized by a minor hero? That's going to be no. So that's like the generic bounty hunters. Then multiplayer skirmish values. Tactical build cost multiplayer, so how much does it cost to build it in skirmish specifically? We're going to bump that up a bit because we're going to give him a bit of a better combat bonus. And then how long does it take to build them? So that's your tactical build time. The next line we really care about here is current build limit per player, or build limit current per player. It's set at 1, so you can only build 1 at a time. This line works for both skirmish and Galactic Conquest. So whatever limit you set for skirmish will also be the same for Galactic Conquest. But since this is a space hero, we don't really care about that, because we're not having this one be buildable. Build limit lifetime for all allies. So if you are playing with allied players, or if you want to limit the number of times you can build Ozzel, so once you've died 10 times, you can't build them anymore between all the allied players, you can do that. If you leave it at -1, that's no limit. You can keep building him after he dies. So next, or last here, are the abilities. You'll have one section here. You'll have this in 2 sections. So there's the first section here, which is all the ones that are going to be on the GUI, the buttons you press, and then they tie down to the subbed objects here. All we really need to worry about for this is the energy weapon, so I think that's called Proton Beam in-game. You want to change this line here, where it says Piet Energy Weapon, to Ozzel, because it's referring down to a separate object here. We're not going to change any of the stats again. We want it to be fairly similar. Damage per frame, you can increase that. Let's make that 55. Next, we're going to do the same with the tractor beam. Change that to Ozzel, which we need to make sure we change this to Ozzel as well. And next, the combat bonuses. These are just going to be in the second part here. They don't tie to anything else. These are the ones that don't show up in the GUI. Let's see, what do we want for this? This first one, you have the unit strength categories and applicable unit categories. So what does this actually make better? So for this one, it makes all capital ships. These are categories: corvettes, frigates, and fighters. And you have to have it all separated by a space and the sort of tall vertical line. I've never really known what that's called. Sorry. Applicable unit categories. So for this, you need it in both. Then applicable unit types. So if you want this to apply to a specific unit, and only that kind of unit, you'd put it in here. When you see a line that's like this, where it has like the name of the line, and then instead of like closing like that and opening into another ending like that, it has it like that. That means it's opening and closing in the same thing. There's nothing that it's referring to. It just puts it there so the game has the information, but you're saying you don't want anything in there. For Ozzel, we'll get rid of the health bonus, so we won't have Piet's health bonus. We'll instead give him a 20% damage bonus and a 10% shield bonus. And now, so that's his general bonus. But Piet also has this secondary bonus that applies just to Star Destroyer. So like we were talking about before, the unit types, it goes for Star_Destroyer. And then you put whatever name of whatever unit you want in there, and this bonus gets put on top of that one. So we're going to give him the same bonus for Star Destroyers as he has for everything else. So Star Destroyers are going to get another 20% damage and 10% shield. Alright, so that's all you really need to do to get the actual unit coded. Next we're going to talk about how to get it to spawn in Galactic Conquest and to build it in Skirmish. So we'll actually start with how to build it in Skirmish. In the base game, all you need to do is go into starbases.xml. If I can find it, there we go. You want to go all the way to the bottom. I want to spawn to Jin in a second there. Skirmish Starbase, or Skirmish Empire Starbase level 5, level 4, level 3. Each level has its own entry, but we're just going to want Ozzel to be built at level 5. So you have this list called Tactical Buildable Objects Multiplayer. This is what you can build in Skirmish. So you want to take a Accuser Star Destroyer, make sure there's a comma there, and change that to Reprisal, and that's all you need to do. Now you can build the unit in Skirmish. Next, we're going to go to GCs. So the way this works, you have to give the game have a story event to spawn the unit. There's usually a different one for every Galactic Conquest, so you'll have to edit a file for every Galactic Conquest in the game, and there's a separate one that the AI uses. So anytime the Empire is controlled by AI, regardless of the Galactic Conquest, it'll always be using the same story file. This is different for most mods, but this is how the base game does it. We'll go into more of that later when it gets to, or when we get into how to do Galactic Conquest scenarios. So you want to go to the story sandbox file. So, well, first we're going to do the AI. So story underscore empire underscore AI underscore heroes underscore expansion. So if you want to do it for the base game, so Empire at War without Forces of Corruption, you'd go here, Empire AI Heroes. If you want to do it for Forces of Corruption, you'd go here, underscore EXP. So you want to load that, go to the bottom. I've already done it here in the previous recording, but we'll get rid of that just so we can do it again. So we're going to copy Thrawn's from, we want him to spawn at Tech 5. If you want him to spawn earlier, you can do it earlier. Actually, we'll do Tech 4, so he's not on the same level as Thrawn. So you can again just copy an event that's happened in the same tech level. The first thing to look at is Spawn Time Era 4 Heroes. So this is an event here, Empire enters Tech 04, that triggers when the faction enters the 4th tech level. It's a base that you can use to trigger other events. So if you look at this Spawn Our Camera event, we're going to change that to Spawn Ozzel. And so story trigger. So the event type is story trigger. It triggers when a story event has happened. Or rather, it's a story event that triggers when something has happened. Next you have reward type, unique unit. So that means it's going to spawn a hero usually. And then in here, reward param 1. So the first reward parameter for unique unit reward type is the name of the unit you want to spawn, which for us is Reprisal Star Destroyer. Then reward param 2 is the planet you wanted to spawn at. So let's just, for variety, say Kuat. And prerequisite, Empire enters Tech 04. So this is referring to this event. So once this event happens, this event will happen. That's basically what that's saying. So you put it in there. And this means now the AI will always get Admiral Ozzel when the Empire gets to Tech Level 4. If you want to add him as for the player in any given GC, you're going to want to go to campaigns underworld underscore GC. This is where all the single player campaigns are kept for Forces of Corruption. So we'll find what GC we want to add it to. It'll be the same process. I'm only going to go through it for one because it's the exact same process. We're going to go for equal footing. So I'm just going to look for equal footing because that's the only GC name I remember. I guess we could have stuck with the first one there. But you want to find sandbox equal footing. It's actually, the way the game codes it is there's a separate GC entry for each faction. So we'll copy that. The underworld is first, so we'll want to go sandbox equal footing Empire. I believe it's going to be 36, but I can't remember. Oh, 56. So if you go down here, Empire story name, story plot sandbox 56 Empire. So we want to go to that file. That's a plot file, so you'll see in a second what that means. Story plots. Sandbox 56 Empire. And that'll tell you to go to story sandbox 56 Empire. So that's the file with the actual events loading. So story sandbox 56 Empire. So here we are, we're back. We're going to do literally the exact same thing. You can even copy the same event from the previous one. But event name, spawn, Ozzel, unique unit, Reprisal Star Destroyer. And then we wanted it to spawn on Kuat and when the Empire enters Tech 4. So that's really all you need to do. If you want to add them to the other GCs, it's just the same sort of thing. You're going to go to all the different ones that are like 36 sandbox underscore number underscore Empire. Just add that event to it, and then you'll have your very own hero, in this case Admiral Ozzel. So I hope that helped you guys. We will have more videos like this coming up if you guys found that useful or you want to learn more. One of the things I really want to get to is how to make a Galactic Conquest scenario. That's going to be a lot longer though. So I don't know if you guys want to see more like this, maybe some modeling tutorials, rigging, anything else like that. Let me know. If you like what you saw, leave a like, comment, subscribe. really does help the channel. Or if you want to help another way, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/CoreyLoses if you want to support the channel financially. Whatever you decide to do, thanks for watching. I guess we will see you soon. Bye.